Hello, good morning, everyone. So you have heard David talking about Trump's various policy and its impact on our economy and forecast. So today, I would like to focus on one issue, one question, where a lower corporate income tax cut boosts economic growth. So let me begin by telling you a story of this picture. A story of Allergan. Some of you might have heard of Allergan, right? It used to be a pharmaceutical company based in Irvine. 2 years ago, they had merged with Actavis, and then soon after that, they moved their headquarters to Ireland. And months after that deal, they began another merger, even bigger merger deal with Pfizer. Of course, the new company supposed to be also headquarters located in Ireland. And last year, the deal failed because of the Treasury Department's objection and intervention. So what's going on? Why we have seen so many aggressive mergers over the past several years? This is one of the many cases of so-called corporate inversion, and that is directly related to corporate income tax we are going to talk about today. Okay, so here this chart shows the combined corporate income tax rates in OECD countries, certified OECD countries in 2000 and 2015. Combined means including the federal government, central government, and local governments. So, so the blue bar is in 2000, and yellow bar is 2015. So by looking at this picture, you can see the idea, the basic thing is what? Most of the country had cut their corporate income tax rate over the past 15 years. For example, Germany, they cut their income tax rate by almost 20%, from above 50%, right now is 30%. Canada and many other countries. And this is the United States, okay? So basically, we barely change our corporate income tax rate. So our federal rate is 35%, and the state rate is on average 4%. So right now, so in 2000, we are not the highest country, in terms of a corporate income tax rate. Right now, we are among the OECD countries. On the other hand, look at the other side. This is Ireland, we just talked about. So Ireland, 15 years ago, they already had very low corporate income tax rate, and they cut it even further. So right now, their income rate is 12.5%, the lowest one among OECD countries. So it's almost 1/3 of our corporate income tax rate. All right. So right now, let me give you a longer time series picture. So, so this blue line represent United States corporate income tax rate. So you can see it only changed once in Reagan period, 86, Tax Reform Act. And since then, it almost never changed. And this red line is the average rate of OECD, the rest of OECD countries. So you can say it gets started to decline in the late 80s and continue to decline all the way to today's 2016. The average rate is 24%. Yeah, and you can see from the chart, since 2000, the gap between the gap of the difference of the corporate rate between United States and the rest of the OECD country become wider and wider. All right. So the idea is this: our corporate income tax rate is not competitive in this globalized economy. Yeah. So in the 21st century, we all agree the capital will be able to move their office, factories, and right now even headquarters across the border very quickly, very efficiently in order to pursue lower tax bill and higher profit. So we see this kind of turn, corporate inversion, outsourcing, transfer pricing. So this is the challenge we are facing in the United States. So do we have evidence it really impact our real economy? So here I try to find some kind of data. So in this chart, this is the 10-year moving average of the GDP growth rate in the United States. So you can see this is a story we heard a lot, in our conference by Ed and Davey, and you heard this term, new normal, right? And you heard this secular stagnation. So you can see since 2000, average GDP growth rate, 10-year moving average, is almost half of before, right? So this is the whole bar. And this blue bar is the non-residential investment contribution to the GDP growth. So it seems like you also can see this kind of dichotomy, all right, since 2008, 2010. So because this is a 10-year moving average, so basically it started around like 2000, yeah. So among, I'm not saying this is the only reason, among many reasons, we had lower productivity, we had a changing demography, and maybe this corporate rate and this kind of investment reallocation might be contributing to our lower GDP growth over the past decade. All right, so right now I would like to show you economics literature about this issue. So the impact of personal income tax cut on GDP, on economy, is mixed. Some papers say a little bit positive, some papers say negative, something like that. So we don't know. But corporate income tax rate, not a lot of literature talking about that because, like the United States, we only change once. Yeah. For those literature talking about that, the evidence seems to be significant and positive. Yeah. Okay. For example, this is one example. Lee and Golden, 2005, tax structure and economic growth. They analyzed 70 countries from 1970 to 1997, and then they control other significant variables like GDP per capita in 1970, control the initial standard of living of the country, and the primary school enrollment controlling the human capital of the country, trade openness, inflation rate, those kinds of things. And this is their conclusion. Let's say a 10 percentage point decrease in corporate income tax rate is associated with 0.6 percentage point increase of GDP per capita growth. Okay, so is this number robust? Is still relevant nowadays? So to answer that, I also did a little bit simple research here. So I look at the previous 35 OECD countries from the recent data, 2000 to 2015. So in this chart is a correlation. So the horizontal axis is the average corporate tax rate, okay, for each country from 2000 to 2008, all right? And the vertical axis is the average GDP, annual GDP growth rate, per capita growth rate across the whole period, 2000 to 2015. So by and large, you can see this kind of negative correlation. It means a country with higher corporate rate will have a lower GDP growth. Okay, so take a look. This is the United States, Germany, Japan, France, Italy, Greece, something like that. And here, Ireland, Poland, Korea, Chile, Hungary. All right. So you might say, wait a minute, this is like a small country, right? A lot of them are like much poorer than United States. We cannot really compare, apple and orange, right? Yeah, that's true. So I did this multivariate regression analysis controlling the size of the country, the GDP per capita of the country, or even like a debt to GDP ratio of the country, because the direct impact of tax cut is rising deficit and debt to GDP ratio, like David talked about. So after controlling that, I still find significant and positive evidence that a lower corporate income tax rate will have a positive economic growth impact. So supporting previous literature. All right. So my conclusion here. So while OECD countries have been cutting their corporate income tax rates to 24% on average, United States corporate rates remains almost unchanged since '87. So US combined corporate rate is about 39%, the highest among OECD, which is not so competitive. Compared to Ireland's 12.5%, the lowest one, the most competitive. Yeah. So in pursuit of low tax bill, capital moved very quickly from low rate country to high rate country by outsourcing and corporate inversion. And a low rate country not only could attract domestic but also international investment. That's the rationale why we got this kind of positive impact on economic growth. All right. So finally, we did find some kind of evidence that a corporate tax rate could boost economic growth, but there's a caveat, if the government deficit and debt level are under control. So what we found is if you can control that, the better you control your deficit and debt, the bigger the magnitude of the benefit of the GDP growth you can get from this kind of tax cuts. Right, thank you so much.